Okay, so let's be real for a second. Dealing with the big five banks in Canada, it can feel like being stuck in this financial groundhog day, right?
Yeah.
You're paying those ridiculous fees month after month, and you wonder if there's a better way. Is this all we get?
And you're right to think that there might be a better way, because there might be. And we're going to dive into that today. We're going to take a deep dive into KOHO. This is a Canadian fintech company they're really shaking things up, and they're putting the power back into your wallet.
I like the sound of that already putting the power back in my wallet. But before we get into all the details about how KOHO works, is it safe? We're talking about our hard-earned money here.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a really important one. Fintech is still relatively new, and you're right to be cautious. We want to make sure our money is protected. The good news is, even though KOHO itself isn't like a traditional bank, they partnered with People's Trust, and they are a federally regulated institution. So that means your money is still CDIC insured up to that $100,000, just like it would be with one of those big banks.
Okay, huge relief. Okay, so knowing my money is protected, that actually takes a lot of the stress out of exploring these new financial options that are out there. So let's get into the good stuff. What are the benefits that are making over 1.5 million Canadians choose KOHO over these big banks?
One of the biggest draws is the no-fee structure. So with their basic essential plan, you don't pay any monthly fees as long as you just maintain like a $1,000 balance. So think about that for a second.
Yeah.
No more feeling like you're being nickel and dime just for having a bank account.
I'm already doing the math in my head, comparing that to my monthly fees with my current bank. And yeah, it's not pretty, but let's be real. Most of us aren't just parking our money in an account. We're using it for everyday expenses. How does KOHO measure up when it comes to spending?
This is where KOHO really shines. They've created a system where you're rewarded for spending rather than being punished with fees. And we're talking about cashback here, and not just a little tiny percentage on select purchases with KOHO. You can earn up to 2% back on essentials like groceries, dining, even transportation.
Wait, hold on. 2% back just for buying groceries? That's way more than what my bank offers, even on their fancy rewards credit cards. How are they able to do that?
It's all part of their mission to disrupt that traditional banking model. So they've cut out a lot of the overhead costs that are associated with having all those physical branches, the big buildings, all that stuff. And they've passed those savings on to their customers in the form of rewards. So it's a win.
I like where this is going. I'm saving money on fees, earning cash back on everyday purchases. Is there anything else that KOHO offers that traditional banks they don't?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot more. Remember those dreaded NSF fees, the ones that make you cringe every time you accidentally overdraft your account?
Oh, yeah.
With KOHO, those are gone. They have a no NSF fee policy, which means you can breathe a sigh of relief knowing you won't be hit with a big charge if you happen to dip below zero.
That peace of mind alone is priceless. It's like having a financial safety net right in your account. But let's talk about growing our money. So right now, I'm earning a measly 0.05% interest on my savings account. It's practically insulting. Does KOHO offer anything better?
They do, and it's not even close. KOHO offers up to 4% interest on your balance, which just blows the big banks out of the water. And remember, this is on top of the cash back you're already earning on your spending, so it's a powerful combination that really helps your money grow.
Okay, you've officially blown my mind. 4% interest. That's unheard of in the traditional banking world. It sounds like they're really putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to helping Canadians take control of their finances.
They are, and it's not just about the bottom line either. KOHO is committed to helping Canadians build a stronger financial future, so they have a credit-building feature for a small monthly fee, which can be really great for people who are looking to, establish or improve their credit score.
So even if you're starting from scratch, or maybe you've had some credit challenges in the past, KOHO can provide the tools and support to help you get back on track.
Exactly. They understand that building good credit is essential for achieving those financial goals, whether it's buying a home, getting a loan, or just having more financial freedom in general.
This is all sounding incredible, but I'm also a pretty practical person. How does KOHO actually work day to day? I'm used to having a physical branch to go to interact with tellers using ATMs. What's the experience like with KOHO?
That's a great question. And it brings us to one of the key differences between KOHO and those traditional banks. KOHO operates entirely online through a super user-friendly app and a website. So instead of waiting in line at a bank, you can manage all your banking needs from home or on the go with your smartphone.
So it's like having a bank in your pocket.
Precisely. You can check your balance, review transactions, transfer money, pay bills, set savings goals, even contact customer support all through the app.
Wow, that's a level of convenience I don't think I've ever experienced with my bank. But what about those times when you need cash? Does KOHO offer ATM access?
They do. You can withdraw cash from any ATM that accepts Visa, both in Canada and internationally. And here's another perk. They offer a certain number of free ATM withdrawals every month, depending on your account plan.
Okay, so I'm starting to see the appeal here. You get all the essential banking features, but with added convenience, lower fees, and even rewards for using their services. It's like they've taken everything that's frustrating about traditional banking and kind of flipped it on its head.
Exactly. They're challenging the status quo and giving Canadians a real choice when it comes to managing their finances.
So far, it seems like KH is ticking all the boxes, but I'm sure there are some people out there who are a little hesitant to ditch their traditional bank and go all in with a fintech company.
Yeah.
What are some of the common concerns that people have, and how does KH address them?
One of the most common concerns is around customer service. People are used to having that physical branch to go to where they can talk to someone face to face if they've got a problem with KOHO's. All the customer service is handled online or over the phone.
And based on that Reddit forum that you shared, it seems like there have been some mixed reviews about KO's customer service. Some users have praised their responsiveness, but others have expressed frustration with long wait times or difficulty getting those issues resolved.
Yeah, that's true. And it's something that KOHO is actively working to improve. They've been investing in expanding their customer support team, and they're trying to improve their response times. They also offer priority support to their premium members, which might be something to think about if you really value that quick and efficient service.
While their customer service might not be perfect, yet they're acknowledging the feedback and taking steps to address it. That's definitely more than I can say for my current bank, where I feel like my complaints just fall on deaf ears.
Exactly. Another concern that people often have is around the acceptance of prepaid cards like KOHO.
Yeah.
While they're becoming more widely accepted, there are still some places where you might run into issues. For example, some car rental companies or hotels, they might not accept prepaid cards for security deposits.
That's definitely something to keep in mind if you travel frequently or you often find yourself in situations where a credit card is required. But overall, it seems like the benefits of KOHO far outweigh these minor inconveniences.
I would agree, especially when you consider that KOHO is constantly evolving and innovating. They're always adding new features and new partnerships to make their platform even more comprehensive and user-friendly.
It sounds like they're really listening to their customers and adapting to their needs. That's a refreshing change from the often rigid and bureaucratic world of traditional banking.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another key difference between KOHO's and those big banks. KOHO's is built on this foundation of transparency and user empowerment. They want their customers to be informed and engaged in their financial decisions.
I'm curious to learn more about that. How does KOHO promote transparency and empower its users?
For starters, their app provides a really clear and detailed breakdown of all your transactions, your fees, your rewards. There are no hidden costs or confusing terms and conditions. You can easily track your spending. You can set budgets and monitor your progress towards your financial goals.
So it's like having a personal finance assistant right in your pocket.
Exactly. And they also offer a range of educational resources and tools to help you improve your financial literacy and make smarter money decisions.
That's fantastic. It seems like they're not just providing banking services, but they're actually equipping their users with the knowledge and skills to take control of their financial well-being.
They are, and they're doing it in a way that's engaging, accessible, and even fun. They're using technology to make personal finance less intimidating and more rewarding.
This is all sounding incredibly promising, but before we get too carried away, let's take a closer look at how KOHO compares to other banking options that are available to Canadians. We've touched on some of the key differences between KOHO and traditional banks, but what about other online banking platforms or fintech companies? How does KOHO stack up against the competition?
That's a great question, and it's one that we'll explore in more detail in the next part of our deep dive. We're going to compare KOHO to some of the other popular players in the Canadian fintech space. We'll look at their features, their fees, and their overall value proposition.
I'm already eager to hear more. Stay tuned, folks, as we continue our deep dive into KOHO and see how it measures up against the competition.
All right, so let's get into how KOHO stacks up against some of the other popular banking options in Canada, especially for people who might be feeling frustrated with the big five.
Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of people are turning to online banks like Simply Tangerine, EQ Bank as alternatives. How does KOHO compare to those?
That's a good comparison because those online banks, they were the first wave of disruption to that traditional banking scene. And they definitely have their strengths, particularly when it comes to no-fee banking and higher interest rates on those savings accounts. But where KOHO really sets itself apart is in its focus on rewards and that overall user experience.
Okay, I'm listening. Can you give us some specific examples? I'm curious to see how these rewards play out in real life.
Absolutely. So let's say you spend, about $200 a month on groceries, which I think is pretty average for a lot of Canadians with a traditional bank. You might earn a few measly points on your credit card, maybe, but with Keiko, even on their basic plan, you're getting 1% cash back. That's $2 a week, or like $8 a month just for buying groceries. And if you upgrade to one of their premium plans, you can earn up to 2% back, so you double those rewards.
So over a year, that's almost $100 in cash back just from getting groceries. It might not seem like a huge amount, but it's definitely way more than what I'm getting with my current bank. And it's basically free money, right? Just for doing something you're already doing anyway.
Exactly. And it's not just groceries. Keiko offers cash back on a whole bunch of everyday expenses like dining, transportation, gas, even entertainment. It really adds up over time.
Okay. And how does that compare to the rewards programs that are offered by Simply or Tangerine?
While Simply and Tangerine do offer some cashback rewards, their programs are often a lot more restrictive. They might only apply to certain merchants or specific spending categories, and the percentage of cashback is usually lower than what KO offers.
So in terms of rewards and earning potential, it seems like KO's has a pretty clear edge over these other online banking alternatives. What about other features? I know Simply, for example, they're known for their no-fee international money transfers. Does KOHO offer anything similar?
They do. KO has partnered with Wise, which is a leading international money transfer service, to provide its users with low-cost and transparent international transfers, so you can send money to family and friends abroad without getting hit with those huge fees that traditional banks usually charge.
Oh, that's great for anyone who has family overseas or travels frequently. It's another way that KOHO is taking on those big banks and providing Canadians with more affordable and accessible financial solutions.
Absolutely, and they're always expanding their network of partners to offer even more value and convenience to their users. Recently, they partnered with Wealthsimple, which is a popular investment platform, to make investing more accessible to Canadians.
Oh, wow. I can not only manage my everyday banking with KSHO,
Mm-hmm.
but I can also start investing and growing my wealth. It's like having a one-stop shop for all my financial needs.
It is, and it's all seamlessly integrated within the KSHO. And speaking of the app, that's another area where KSHO really stands out from the competition.
Yeah, I've heard great things about the KSHO app. People rave about its user-friendliness and that intuitive design. Can you tell us a bit more about what makes it so special?
First of all, it's just visually appealing. It's clean and modern and really easy to navigate. You can quickly and easily check your balance, look at your transactions, transfer money, set savings goals. You can even customize your spending categories.
So it's not just functional. It's actually enjoyable to use. That's a big plus for me.
Yeah.
I know a lot of banking apps can be so clunky and frustrating to navigate.
Exactly. KOHO has really focused on creating a seamless and engaging user experience, and they're always updating the app with the new features and improvements based on user feedback.
It's good to hear that they're listening to their users and making changes based on what people actually want and need. That's a far cry from the take it or leave it attitude of a lot of traditional banks.
Absolutely. And speaking of user feedback, one of the features that KOHO's users always rave about are their real-time spending notifications.
Oh yeah, those sound really helpful. I know I've had those moments of panic where I'm like, wait, did I swipe my card or not?
Exactly. With KOs, you get an instant notification on your phone every time your card is used. So it's like having a personal security guard for your money. You'll know right away if there's any unauthorized activity on your account.
Wow, that's a level of security I wouldn't mind having. It's like having peace of mind built right into the app. But what about those times when you do need to talk to an actual human? We already talked about customer service a bit, but I'm curious to know how KOHO handles things like resolving disputes or dealing with those more complex issues.
That's a valid concern, and it's something that some people are a bit hesitant about when they're considering switching to a digital-only banking platform. But KOHO has made some big improvements in their customer support.
Yeah, from those Reddit threads, it seems like they've been really actively responding to user complaints and making changes based on the feedback.
You're right, and they've also implemented things like in-app chat support, so you can get in touch with a representative really easily without having to call them. They even offer extended customer support hours, so you can get help even outside of those traditional banking hours.
Oh, that's definitely reassuring. They're recognizing that people have different needs and preferences when it comes to customer service. Some people might prefer to call, while others might find it easier to just, chat online.
Exactly. And they're trying to provide a variety of options to make their customer service as accessible and user-friendly as possible.
While they might not have physical branches, they are putting a lot of effort into creating a digital customer service experience that's both efficient and personalized.
Precisely. And they're constantly learning and improving, which is something I really admire about Coast. And they're not afraid to admit when they make mistakes, and they're always trying to do better.
That's such a refreshing change from that often rigid and defensive stance of a lot of traditional banks. It seems like KOHO is really committed to building a strong relationship with their users and creating a banking experience that's truly tailored to their needs.
Absolutely. And they're doing it in a way that's transparent, ethical, and sustainable. They're not just focused on profits. They really want to make a positive impact on the lives of their users and on the financial system as a whole.
Okay, now you're really speaking my language.
Yeah.
Tell me more about how KOHO is incorporating ethics and sustainability into their business model.
For starters, they're really committed to responsible lending practices. They don't offer predatory products like payday loans, and they're very upfront about their fees and interest rates. They also support a bunch of different social causes and environmental initiatives.
So they're not just talking the talk, they're actually walking the walk. That's impressive. It seems like they're really trying to redefine what it means to be a financial institution in, the 21st century.
They are, and they're paving the way for a more inclusive, equitable, and sustainable financial future.
This is all incredibly inspiring. But let's get back to a more practical side of things for a minute. We've talked a lot about the benefits of KOHO, but every rose has its thorns. Are there any potential downsides or drawbacks that our listeners should be aware of?
That's a fair question. While KO has a ton of advantages over those traditional banks, there are a few things to keep in mind. One potential drawback is that they don't offer a full suite of banking products. For example, they don't currently have things like mortgages or investment accounts.
So if someone's looking for a true one-stop shop for all their financial needs, KOHO might not be the perfect fit, at least not yet.
Right, but they are constantly expanding what they offer, so it's possible that those products will be available in the future.
Another concern that I've heard from some people is that KOHO relies so heavily on technology. What happens if there's like a technical glitch or the app goes down?
That's a valid concern. Like with any service that depends on technology, there's always that risk of technical issues. But KOHO has put a lot of resources into their infrastructure and security systems to try to minimize those risks. They also have a dedicated customer support team available 24/7 to help resolve any issues that come up.
Okay, so they're not leaving their users stranded if something goes wrong. That's good to know.
Exactly. And they're always working to improve their systems and make them as reliable as possible.
So while there are a few potential downsides to think about, it seems like KOHO is actively addressing those concerns and really working hard to provide a seamless and reliable banking experience.
Absolutely. And I'd say overall, the benefits of KOHO, particularly in terms of the fees, the rewards, and that user experience, they really outweigh these minor drawbacks.
It sounds like KOHO is a real game changer for Canadians who are just tired of those traditional banks and are looking for a more modern, rewarding, and empowering banking experience.
I agree. They're giving us a glimpse into the future of personal finance, where technology is used to simplify our lives, help us save money, and achieve our financial goals.
Well, okay, I'm convinced. I'm ready to ditch my old bank and make the switch to KOHO. But before I do, are there any final tips or insights you can share with our listener to help them make an informed decision?
Sure. First and foremost, I'd recommend doing your research. Compare KO to other banking options that are out there. Think about your individual needs and priorities and see which platform really aligns with your own financial goals.
Yeah, that's great advice. Don't just jump on the bandwagon. Take the time to really understand what each option offers and how it fits into your overall financial picture.
Exactly. And once you've chosen a platform, take some time to explore all of its features and tools. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Reach out to customer support if you need help.
It's like with any new technology or service, the more you understand how it works, the more you'll be able to really take advantage of all the benefits it has to offer.
Exactly. And finally, remember that personal finance, it's a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, stay informed, and don't be afraid to experiment and find what really works for you.
Those are words of wisdom. It's all about taking control of your finances and creating a financial future that really aligns with your values and your goals.
Exactly. And with platforms like KOHO, it's becoming easier than ever to do that.
Okay. I'm feeling inspired and empowered to take charge of my money. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and expertise with us today.
My pleasure.
And to our listener, we hope this deep dive into KOHO has given you the knowledge and motivation to make those informed decisions about your finances. Remember, you have the power to choose a banking experience that works for you, not against you.
Absolutely. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore some of the broader trends that are shaping the future of personal finance and how KOHO is positioned to play a leading role in this exciting new era.
Stay tuned, folks, as we wrap up our deep dive into KOHO and explore the future of banking in Canada. All right, so we've spent the last two parts unpacking everything about KOHO, the good, the bad, the different. But I think it's time to zoom out a little bit.
Yeah.
And look at the bigger picture. What is the rise of these fintech companies like KOHO? What does it tell us about the future of banking here in Canada?
That's a really good point. KOHO isn't just some isolated thing happening. It's part of a much bigger trend that's disrupting the traditional financial world, not just in Canada, but like globally, we're seeing a shift in power from those big established institutions to smaller, more agile, and honestly, often more customer-focused companies.
Yeah, and I have to say, as a consumer, I'm all for it. I'm tired of feeling like just a number to my bank. But what's driving this shift? Why are Canadians increasingly turning away from the big banks and embracing these new alternatives?
I think there are a few factors at play, first and foremost. I think people are just fed up with the high fees and the lack of transparency that comes with traditional banking.
Oh, yeah, I hear you there. It's like you said before, they're nickel and diming you at every turn.
Exactly. And with technology getting better and better, consumers have way more options than they used to fintech companies like KO. They're using this technology to create more efficient, more transparent, and even more rewarding banking experiences. They're meeting those needs of consumers in ways that traditional banks just haven't been able to.
Yeah, and it seems like KO is especially good at understanding what younger generations want, those who are digitally savvy and are looking for a banking experience that reflects their values.
Absolutely. Millennials and Gen Z, they're used to having these seamless digital experiences in other areas of their life, so they expect the same from their banks. They're also more likely to want to support companies that are socially responsible and environmentally conscious.
So it's not just about features and fees with Keiko, it's about a different kind of banking experience, one that really resonates with these newer generations of consumers.
Exactly. And that's a big challenge for the traditional banking model. The big banks are starting to realize they need to adapt or they're going to get left behind.
Like evolve or die, right?
Exactly. And we're already seeing some of those big banks trying to catch up, launching their own digital platforms and dipping their toes into these new technologies.
But is it enough? Can these big institutions really change their ways? They're so set in their ways of doing things.
It's a huge challenge for them. They've got all that old infrastructure and those bureaucratic processes to deal with, but I think they're starting to get it. They're seeing that things are changing and they need to evolve if they want to stay in the game.
It's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out in the next few years. Will these fintech companies like KOHO, will they completely shake up the banking system, or will the big banks figure out how to adapt and stay relevant?
That's the big question, isn't it? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. The future of banking is digital. It's personalized, and it's customer-focused.
And that's something I can get behind. No more waiting in line at the bank, no more confusing fees, and no more feeling like my bank doesn't care about my needs.
Exactly. And with companies like KOHO leading the way, I think we can expect to see even more innovation and changes in the financial world in the years to come.
So for our listeners who might still be on the fence about switching to KOHO, what would you say is the most important thing to remember?
I'd say KOHO is a sign of a bigger shift in how we think about and manage our money. It's about moving away from that traditional way of banking that's often impersonal and full of fees and moving towards something that's more transparent, more rewarding, and gives you more control.
It's about taking charge of your finances and picking a bank that actually aligns with your values and goals.
Exactly. And while KOHO might not be the perfect solution for everyone, it's a great example of how technology is making the financial world better for everyone.
It's been so interesting exploring the world of KOHO with you today. We've covered a lot of ground, from the specifics, the features, the fees, to the bigger trends that are shaping the future of banking in Canada.
It's been my pleasure really diving deep into this with you.
And to all of our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity about the always changing world of personal finance.
And remember, knowledge is power. The more you know, the better decisions you can make about your money and the brighter your financial future will be.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and don't be afraid to challenge how things have always been done.